All right, so let's work with now the foreshortened head with the figure, with the human figure here. So I'm going to have two different drawings here. One, I'm going to pop up both the images to show you really quickly. One where we're looking at the front part of the head, the front area where we're underneath the chin. You'll see that quite a bit. That's a common theme. Of course, you could go from different sides, but I'll just give you one example for this demonstration and idea. And then we have one from the back view, which we kind of saw with our full-bodied foreshortened drawing, but I wanted to get up to a closer shot. So we want to compare and contrast these while working with foreshortening. Also, just be mindful that I haven't, in the foreshortening section here, I haven't really done a lot of talking about perspective, intuitive, simple form, the feeling of perspective, but it's there. It's always there. It's never really gone. We're just using it without making it so aware. Okay, so I'll start with this first head, and the way I can start to think about this and conceive this is to think about sort of a blocky form or an oval-like block form. And I'll show you what I'm talking about, because we've really got to flatten out this head quite a bit. So the first thing we look at is the head's coming at us, and we're slightly to the right of the head. So we see that right side. The head's pushed to the left, so we see the right front plane, top, right side, a little bit of kind of the cut underneath, and I'll show you what I mean. So reading this is the back of the head. I'm going to turn it just a little bit because it's not straight across, but we see this side plane here moving back into perspectival space here, and I'm going to cut this head off. That sounded weird, but you get the idea. I'm going to cut the head off. I'm going to end the head around where about the chin is, the middle part of the chin, about right here, and then come on down as a block. Now we're going to alter that, obviously, to get a more representational look, and we're slightly skewed just a little bit, so it may be slightly 2-point, but just barely. And we're going to look at this side now, moving in this direction. So back in through here, and I'm going to widen this bottom part in through here, like a box, but normal box would be here, but just a little bit wider to get this head look a little bit more accurate for now. That's what's going on in my mind as I start to draw from this Brian's pose here. So we've got that coming down. Now, as we start to modify, I've got the shoulder, the neck here, coming down as the tube widens out. So we're putting a tube on a box here. And of course we're getting a very flat kind of view, a very squeezed kind of view of what's going on in through here. And then coming across very quickly and very strongly right in through here is the chest, the pectoral line. Now we're getting a little bit of the sternal area here where it breaks. It splits in two. It's kind of a wavy curve in this look, and it will wave out up here and then kind of come on down a little bit. So we're kind of feeling that out a little bit, and that's kind of all we'll see. That's already pretty foreshortened. So we're getting that strong sense of that box-like feel. Now, coming over, I'll show you a few more things, and I'm going to jump to the next one, and we'll kind of do these together, and so that way we can compare and contrast. So I'm going to bring up the chin a little bit further to where I see it, the edge of the top of the chin, about right in through here. The actual center line of the head through the center, splitting down the brow of the glabella, if you will, of the center part of which is in between the eyes, the top part, down through to the chin, about right in through here, really pushed over right in through here. So that curvature of the chin right in through here. I'm going to keep it very broad so I can change my attack as I need to. That's why I like using the palm method of drawing, draftsmanship kind of drawing with the palm, because that once you get into a strong line, you're getting more definitive. So coming down to the jaw, kind of just flash out just a little jaw here, coming over and down here, pushed over a little bit and around. A couple ways we can think about that. And through here, this jaw, you can see where that shadow changes. It's kind of like little hinges. They're hinging here, and that masseter, that jaw muscle, it's really strong. I can see that moving in through here and up and over, and then it kind of moves through there. So if we come straight across, we'd start to feel it, but then of course it rounds out a little bit through here. We feel that in through there, and then kind of over and through. That curl really curls back onto itself right in through that area. So I'll just kind of leave that for now, and let's start to tackle the other drawing and just get the position. That way we compare on the same paper. The both of them I think will be good for comparison and foreshortening. This shoulder kind of coming in here. Okay, let's go to that one. Taking on now this other head in this position. So we're looking at now from above, looking down on the model's head. I guess you would say a top head view or back view of the model, because if he stood up we would see the backside or posterior of the model. So let's take on this particular pose, and I'm going to handle it in some of the same ways as I'm doing here. Now we're coming across, and so I'm going to read its most basic form for now, which is kind of a blocky form as well. So we've got the chin coming down here, and I'm going to widen out to show you what I'm thinking in this blockier form, and then I'll tighten this back up. But here to here, to about where the forehead starts to curve, feel it about right there, okay? And then it starts to curve, it comes on down here. I can show that kind of like an extra little line, and we'll come down with a block here, come down with a block. So we're reducing this quite severely for now, just to get a feeling, as if it were clay. We're laying down a clump of clay on the sculptor's Lazy Susan, okay, or the turning wheel there and there. And so we see a little bit now of the side view of this box coming down this way and over like that. So that's kind of what we're seeing. Shoulders coming out a little bit more this way, right, as we come through. Now let's start to alter this a little bit further, and then we'll start in on both of these more properly. We'll build off this a little bit. So I'm going to mark this chin, this movement, the center line, kind of the gesture of this head here, right? So we have this coming up and over to about the end of that chin, very pointed in this same model, but very different kind of look. Here where we'll say the end of the chin is there, and it gets blocky kind of oval, kind of a classic oval coming down a little bit here, right, and then around and through here, and then it's going to come down and over. We're going to get this real strong side plane of our model into here and on over this way, and getting this form to sit down on the ground. Probably not necessarily touching where we see this bottom part here, but actually underneath a little bit. When you lay your head down on something like a hard surface like concrete, you realize not all of it touches. There's only a touching point. That's called, that protrusion is called the nuchal ridge, and we'll talk about that in the anatomy series as I release those later on in the coming year. That's where it touches, and so it doesn't touch all over the head. So this comes over, this can still kind of, you can see it kind of box out, round, up and through here. Just getting a very general feel of this. Of course, this can go faster when you're on your own, and I'm not talking through it. It goes faster for me too, right in through here. And so we get a little bit of the neck muscles coming through about right in through here. I'm feeling it horizontal alignment about right in through here. Coming down, kind of right behind that earlobe area tube. Looks something like this, went all the way through it, kind of like that. That's what we'd see, like so. And then when we'd see the shoulders coming on down in through here, it's kind of like the side plane, front plane of a box that we're looking down upon. So right about here where the sternum is where it starts to raise up a little bit. So just bring that shoulder over for now. Here and then through the head about right here on the way over, and of course that's going to come down some and over like so a little bit later on. So we get the feel for that, and the shoulder will start to develop out to a deltoid through here down over, probably something like that, give or take. All right, and so we can start to feel this chest barrel around this pectoral here. And of course he's moving slightly to the side here, so this barrels out. We probably get to his pubic region pretty quickly, right in through there. Pretty severe foreshortening, but the chest does barrel, actually goes really high, very, very firm. Chested there and over, there we go. So we get that kind of movement and through there. All right, so we have them both laid in. You can tell we're using same kind of an idea for the drawing, really reducing these down to volumes and solids in space to help us with the viewpoint and perspective. Now we want to jump back to the first one and really want to start to negotiate the head structure more detailed, getting that laid in and finding the landmarks of and proportions of the head in this more extreme, these extreme foreshortening views. So let's do that. All right, so we're working now back with the head here. So a couple things now. We want to start taking kind of a full outlier of where we're at with the head. So we're the back of the forehead here, not the top of the head, part of the forehead here, and we're going to continue to keep this broad with the pencil, using that side right in through here, hair coming down over here, just working that shape as I see it now. In the back of the head, in through here, turning, 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 keeping on going, turning, 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 right in through, and turning this way now, kind of coming in through, all the way through. You can kind of feel this egg form of this blocky part of the egghead form. All right, so we come down here now, getting a feel for that head, the hairline, just generally through here, this curved part of this coming up, this back of the neck, behind the ear, that bony part there, and kind of over, and the other part of the neck kind of comes up through that. So we get a little change in line work for now, because this really wants to push like this behind that ear, which is going to be over something like that. I don't want to get into that yet with the ear. I'll hold off on that for a moment. So we're feeling that out, feeling the center line here all the way through, and kind of we want to map where that chin is as well. So we're getting a feel for that chin being about right in through the top of it, the very top that we see, right in through here. So I'm going to mark it a little bit more definitively for now, right in through here. And it's kind of like in this viewpoint, sort of a chiseled off box top, slight angled down towards us just a little bit, right in through here, kind of like that. So I'll feel that like so. And then coming down, turning, it'll turn muzzle downward a little bit, and see where it undercuts right in through here. We get that underneath the the jawbone in through here. So we'll undercut, we'll come down in through here just to feel that through. See how it's not straight across, but it's slightly at an angle to feel that perspective. I think that's important to denote that it's not just straight across. If you do make it straight across, it's okay. It's natural, normal to do that, but it really isn't. It's slightly a 2-point head, and of course we're always using our perspective. All right, so we're coming down now to the jaw, this upper part of the chin, to the jawbone or mandible here, coming down up on the top part here, in through here, fading. So I'm using a very light, broader line in through here, coming down, repositioning where this jawbone ends into the head, or we call it the mandible, art speak, anatomy speak, and through there, and through here. Of course, later on that'll have a shading pattern, and through there, shadow pattern, and through here with our work in through here. And so that feels pretty good in location. So we're trying to negotiate these very squeezed, foreshortened features. So we come down this chin here, down to underneath the jawbone, underneath to these neck and digastric area of the model, coming in through here. So as we come down the jawbone, we're feeling this overlap here. Get a little bit more clear with this line. You can go back and alter that. This cuts in just a little. We see that cut in a little bit. This overlaps now a little. You can see this come through, right in through here. This overlaps a little. And we start to get into this undercut just a little bit, where it gets into a bulge of these neck muscles as they allow the head to come back through here. So this turns a little bit. You can see that turn. And then we get a little bit of the sternum back in through here. Of course, the chest, the pectorals coming on top of that and overlapping too. So we get that as well. So we're starting to get that nice squeeze look, and we get this rounded, these gathering of flesh here, coming up and over and around like so, just for now. Get that line coming through. Of course, those will bulge together. We've talked a little bit about bulges. If you've seen other videos, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Oh, that sounded silly. All right, I gotta stop that. All right, so we have this undercut here. I'm gonna cross shade that just to give you a feel for that. So really getting that jawbone in there. So as we come up this jawbone now, feeling our way through this whole area now, right in through here is the mouth muzzle, right in through here. So we're not even at the mouth yet. We're up a little bit, coming higher. I can see, I'm gonna show you now the split of the lip. I'm gonna mark it here, right in through here on a curve. Everything is on a curve, it's not straight now. On a curve, the split of the lips about right in through here, because we're not getting a lot of bottom. The bottom is covered. We're getting the top lip, so that's the split of the lip. And then I'm feeling the top lip right in through here, which is going to be more curved. So at its apex, a little bit off center, about right here. So it's very much like negotiating a landscape, if you will. So we get the top of that lip in through here, so I'm going to mark it right in through there. And beyond that, we start to get already a sense of the cheekbones here, coming across and over into here a little bit, right in through and down, and that picks up where we have our value for the jawbone coming around in through here and over. So we pick up that just gingerly now. We can change that as we move through. I want to start to mark now and feel also the muzzle of the face, the head, mouth area, about right in through here, because this is going to come up and over like a ball, like a racquetball. We don't see a lot of it, but kind of right in through here, this ball area. And then I'm going to start to mark the nose. The nose protrudes out from the head. We see that further. So we see the lip marking here of the upper lip that I have a little bit higher. I'm going to come up and say, okay, kind of a straight line for now, and mark where I feel like that nose is about here, as it dips in just a little bit to the side. They don't have to be straight. I'm going to do there. And so we get that hub of the nose right in through there. And it's a triangular shape, isn't it? To begin here and coming down. So we get very much underneath. When you look at an underneath shot of the nose, it's very triangular. So it disappears a little bit into this under curve where the philtrum is, where the top part of the mouth is, coming down. So we see this curls over right in through here. Okay, down through. Here's our chin. Just to be clear, I know we'll get clear with this as we go through. If you're going to miss it, you're probably going to make it long, and I'm probably a little long. I'm going to shorten mine up in a moment. It's probably very common to do that. I think I probably always do that. I always have to go back and tighten that up a little. So we have that triangle part of the nose in through here. Coming down and through, it goes underneath top part of the mouth where the philtrum is. Here's your nostril area and through there. Okay. So we have that. So we come down now, coming off this nose, the bridge of the nose, that shaft now comes back in and wants to attach to the brow, the glabella area roughly. Right in through, I'll put a dot there and mark it. That's where I see that there. So we have that there. And that attachment is not here, it's hidden. So it's straight, slightly turned as it curves. And then it side planes out, arches a little bit this way. Well, we come back into the nose here to start our cheekbone, what we call the zygomatic arch, to be technical and cool, right? So we come down, and that's where that cheekbone arches, so it's pretty accurate, right in through here, but it's falling, it's curving, it's falling here and on over. And it meets up with, remember that shadow that we had, that's what that was, right in through here. We see that, right in through there. And this curves through and over. Okay, we have that. So that comes over and curves through. Now, right above it, right over into here is a good place to say, okay, there's our temporal, our side plane of our head. Right in through there, and we can start. I was pretty close with her length. I might just be a little bit long, not by a whole lot. The hair in through here, side plane, right in through there, the temporal muscle, right in through here. There we go. That's where we see it now, really pushed over and foreshortening, so we can see that emerging right in through there. Take it very slow, right in through here. Of course, later on, this will be hair coming around a little bit further. So as we come back over, let's renegotiate what we had here a little bit. So we had our nose protruding. That feels pretty good. As we come across with the brow in through here, and we come across, we see a little bit of the brow merge. See how curved it is. Back behind all that is slightly the other eye here. It curves over here. We get that brow flattening here, believe it or not, Then we start to curl underneath the eye socket, the very part here that meets up with the brow. They pretty much get jammed together. So it's like this. It's kind of like a half moon sunrise or sunset. We see this come across the landscape of it like so. We feel that. That's that eye socket and brow, the under part of the brow and through the eye socket, right in through here. It's very arched and curved, and we're just going to let this soften in because we're going to fade over that because it's a soft transition. It's a bony part, so it's a wicked little area to draw, no doubt. Okay, so we have that through there. Then we get the eyeball starting to fall into place here, and so as this side plane here of the nose comes in here, we get that cheekbone a little tighter for now, but then right past it is the eyeball itself. You want to get that width, cascades a little bit here, a little bit flatter, and then curls. So we'll just get the generality of all that. There's lids on there, and there's also the pupil and iris coming through and through here. So, and I can tell I want to adjust later on back into here a little bit, back in with this chin probably a little bit higher and longer through here. I can tell just a little bit coming through there, not bad. Pretty good so far. Okay, you'll probably have more adjustments with foreshortening than probably just about anything, and that's okay too. All right, through here, that's totally okay. It's hard stuff. All right, it's probably hard enough just to follow on a video training learning. So make sure your best way to learn is just to draw with me for a while, and then tackle your own after that. It's very important. All right, so coming through now, we're past this brow here, a little bit over, and we get what we see is the ending of the head, which is really about midway through the forehead. We don't see the top of the head's way back beyond that. So we get some brow. I'm going to straighten all that out for now so you don't get confused. Coming in through. So that was pretty good in length, not bad. Usually I make them a little bit longer, so you find your tendency. So right in through there. Notice I'm being really careful. I like to be a lot looser when I draw for myself, even academically, but for the video camera, for students, I like to be even more careful, really. Not that you can't be careful and loose, but a lot of times it's hard to think and draw and talk. So we're coming across. That felt pretty good. Now we're going to get the back of this cranium again, kind of come through with our next pass. It's a little bit fuller. It's a little dark in there, hard to see. I'll actually lighten these up a little bit. So our model Brian here. Sometimes I'll just take shots of him in class when we take a break. So right in through here. This neck coming through. We want to feel kind of this turning contour-wise, and this coming underneath, but then up and over where this jaw ends and through here. And flattens out a little bit, and then comes in and overlaps. Kind of tubes over, and where the neck begins, where that flesh gathers a little bit. There we go, right through here, up and over and around. And we'll get into all that good stuff as we continue to work through. We still got some structural problems to resolve and detail, and well, not even detail yet, but still structural issues to finish out. It's like building a house, everything in its time. So you can see how we're developing the drawing a little bit further now. All right, so let me put the ear on for now, negotiate that a little bit, and I'm going to jump over to the next one, and we'll so we can do these compare and contrast together. I think that's a little bit different approach, a little bit fresher maybe, hopefully. If not, you could always jump ahead to the video if that's not how you want to do. That's the great thing about having video instruction. I think if it's a revolutionary kind of thing. I still learn things from my old professors, and so I love having video instruction. To pause, to stop, to think about. If it's not for you, and you'll probably know pretty quickly, I understand, hang in there. If you're my student, you kind of have to. Of course, I'm here to help you in practice in class. But if you're not so much video oriented, I understand that too as well. But I think it's a great addition to the opportunities that we have in education. There's a lot of garbage on YouTube stuff and just TV. It's always been that way, but there's always great educational stuff, not just in art, but science and literature and all that good stuff. Okay, I'll stop talking about that. So coming through here and then moving it through here. I'm just going to kind of just cascade this down just to give some shading, contouring, so I can start to see all this jawbone come together. It's really bony right in through here where I'm just kind of moving my pencil, but it's not, actually a little bit higher, but it's not a hard edge like you get in other drawings like you will over here. So you have to be a little careful about where you start to mark your pencil a little bit, and through here and over. Okay. Underneath. Underneath there. And this would cut in just a little bit higher into there. All right, let me put on the ear. So the kind of negotiating ear, we're on a very side plane. We're on the turn of that box and that barrel. Push this back a little bit in shadow. When I mean push it back, what I mean is kind of let it turn back and turn and push it down and push it across itself a little bit. Give it a little bit more form, and I'll put this down on the table by putting a little shadow here where he's resting for now. There we go. Okay, so that puts him down there. So now let's put his just the basics of the ear. Find that pattern. So remember with the ear, the brow roughly to the bottom of the nose, roughly, but that's all whacked because we can't bring that across. Well, when you get off the standard model, and you will pretty quickly, it requires a lot more work to put these forms on. Horizontal, vertical alignment, negative space, and a good feel for the basics of anatomy where things go. You know you're not going to put the ear up here. Well, nobody would do that unless you're a cat, you're a mouse drawing, or a dog. It doesn't make any sense. But you're human and you're intelligent, and so you know that the ear will at least get in the ballpark here. So we're feeling that where the lobe is running through here. We know it's a C shape or a question mark shape depending on left or right. And so we want to feel that, but we know it's flattened out. So we're just going to feel the shape of it, where it's at, coming down and through here and over. Don't be worried if you miss it a little bit. So you need to tighten it up or change it. So probably for now about right in through here, so it gets flattened quite a bit. It's just, a series of curves for now where they attach, kind of coming together here a little bit. It's okay right in through there. So we have that feeling on there. I'm going to put where the hairline ends, the side plane of the head coming in through here and over and downward. I'll push this back a little bit for now because you really see into that eye socket and brow up here where the eyebrow sits on top. Bony, very hard bony form in through here, and then right past it is the glabella, that space in between each eye, right in through here, is kind of triangular over and goes down through and around and through there. So that's looking, I think, okay for now. So we got a good measure of things going. Very arched, very curved. Notice that. So the cheekbone here, as we come down, a little flatter, running through here, coming over, and this wants to come like so, move like so, through here. Here we go. So we'll just play that off just a little bit in through there. And then one more pass I want to make with the eye area here. And get this a little cleaner, nice and nose. So I'm just going to feel for the nostril here, just this part for now. Right in through here and over. I know that's not the eye. We'll get there in a moment, yeah. And then right in here where we get a little space in between this muzzle part of the head, I want to make this a little stronger so you can see that before we move on to the next one for a while. Here, you see that. Don't stop here. It really wants to come all the way and connect up to the chin. This is called the orbicular, I believe, oris. Orbicular oculi, this part of the eye, orbicularis oris, I think it is. These names sometimes. Names are important, but knowing the form is even more important. You could say, hey, the round part of the mouth, and if you can draw it religiously and with accuracy, I don't care if you get your Latin wrong. I'm not a stickler in that sense. It's not as important as the drawing, the knowing of the drawing part of it. That's different and better. So we get this. This comes all the way down actually and comes over. So see it kind of moves, even though there's some peaks and valleys there later on, and really over through here. It feels part of the mouth. It disappears over here, but it still gives you that rhythm of the mouth because we get this cheekbone here. Watch this, here, here, and all the way over. You got to negotiate that over here and downward to get a little bit of that coming through, and they almost meet up together right in through there. So be careful with that. We're starting to get our head to sit down. I feel like we've got our excuse me, our forms in a relative good position here. So we've got that, and we've got the top lip probably coming up a little bit higher up here close to the nostril. It really, I'm going to turn my pencil a little bit because it really requires me to get around just a little bit further for now. And it stays curved longer here. It then wants to come down a little bit as it comes into that node area, which is right in through here, this fat pocket. If we all have our cheek, but they all come together, they overlap here. And then see how this cascades downward and starts to get a little bit flatter, even though it's pretty curved. Right in through there, and actually further on down the line, actually. All down the line. Node in through there a little bit. Keeps going further. It might even get almost obscured by part of that chin. All right, so coming up through the philtrum, here's the center part of the form, in through here to the nostril base and to the tip of the nose. Peek it out a little bit further, and right in through here, then the downward turn of these upper lips. Give a little bit of contouring. Here's the center right about here. That's where the center of those are turning in a little bit, and the bottom lip edge, the bottom of the bottom lip now is about here. So we see that, and then we see that start to turn and move in way over, come on down, and kind of, I think they both disappear in that node over there. Here. There we go. through here. And of course this curls up and then immediately starts to get a little curl, and then running through where I'm putting a little shadow, it flattens out just a little bit. I may have to clean it up a little bit later. Coming in and through, and this is going to come over here as we come in to that node of skin. So we get this curl downward and then back and through. We get that for now. And it comes through here and downward. Okay, so that cleans that up a little bit. For now, we're like a third or halfway maybe with that. And we get this nostril back. Reclaiming the nostril. To here. And you really get a sense of the nasal cavity, this underturn of the nose really curves. Like so. Pretty fascinating stuff. Alright, okay, so let's go on now to over here and let's develop it to about this level of finish. Okay. Alright, so let's take this drawing now to the level of this one and then we'll switch back again. So here we'll ground the head a little bit further, pulling it through now. The center part of the form is here. And so touch it down to, even though it's not touching, it's going to get a contact point deeper in, but it's going to, at least for our purposes, get a little stronger line in through here, and through here a little bit, shadow line, kind of demarcate that, kind of boxy in through here, kind of around to the shoulder and over, kind of in through here for now, just to kind of lay that down a little bit on its side a little bit, and these shoulders will start to turn in a little bit further here, the trapezius on down in, and then the deltoid, the shoulder comes out a little bit further, just to feel that through a little bit. All right, so landscape of the head now, and I tend to think more of the head as a landscape, even when I'm drawing it from a normative kind of standard model or portrait view. But even here, especially with foreshortening, I tend to see it as a landscape because there's far away kind of mountains and valleys and peaks and whatnot. So you have to kind of relax your mind and push things away that you don't want. So we have our center point here, and then it comes down the plane of the head over to the center of the chin about right in through here. I'm going to box that chin, and then it turns really quickly here, and then it turns away a little bit here too as well. We get longer on this side, over and through here, through here, which gives us this shape that we start to want. Now we're going to come in more now. We're going to get off this initial form a little bit further and get down to this lower part of the muzzle, in through here, the jawbone on this side, in through here. And then we're going to pick up, you can see pretty quickly, the lower part underneath the bottom of that nose about right. It will hit about right in through here. There's the bottom of the nose, right in through here, a little bit of an angle, right in through there. And of course that's going to top out. Let me push it in a little bit further because it actually stays within the face, meaning that it doesn't pop out of the overlap there. So the triangular part of the nose, top and bottom in this view, is very triangular here. So we get that from the nostril tip, just this shape, to the tip of the nose. It pops out maybe just ever so slightly. Right in through here and around. Keep it blunt, and then it kind of comes back in over, curls over a little bit, and through there. So we get that shape of that nose. And of course now the shaft of the nose, which is a blockier form, angled, comes down, starts to move in. This is the top part here. Here it's attached to the tip of the nose in through here, and then downward, and ends, it gets hidden by the brow, the glabella, top part of the glabella, and through there. So we come across here, and this is going to still be curved. Be careful, this is really curved in its point of view here and over. You have to, every so often, very quickly, really in all drawing, you have to step back and look and see what you're doing and then come back again, because if you don't, you'll start to miss areas of proportion, because you're looking at the trees instead of the entire forest, and vice versa. So you're always having to come back and forth in your viewpoints. So we have that. Now we're getting this just brow curve, very much a curve on the human skull, right through here. Okay, very generic, very turning, very broad, with the pencil fat part, just to get a feel for it, down this direction. So we cut in a little bit from that part of the head, and it picks up the hair wrap in through here. Then it gets a little larger as it comes to us. So we're pretty close in through there. I'm gonna flatten out this shoulder a little bit here. This clavicle coming in through here. I'm just gonna put that back in a little shadow for now. Put that down. Through here, same thing over and through here. We're getting pretty close to getting it pretty accurate for now. Here we go. So coming across this brow, it's the very top part of the brow is starting to turn away from us in downward here. And as I come about right here, this area, this is where that temporal ridge is, right about in here, kind of where the white of the hair is, on kind of both sides really. And that gives me a good sense of, in both cases, where the side plane of the head is here, we don't see here, it opens up like so. So if I really simplified that into that temporal area, we have that. If we shaved it off, it would look like that, right? So we have that in perspective and foreshortening, which is the same thing as perspective, just a very severe shortening of the features. Most of it's one pointish, 2 pointish. So that jawbone, we know it comes up just by, I'm not even looking at the image, I'm drawing more from knowledge. It splits at about halfway, one perspective, halfway is about right there. Right in through there. So that jawbone comes up through where that ear will be, right behind it. See that ear lobe right in through here really is a little bit higher. Here in the head and over, kind of right in through. Kind of there, packs in and comes over, right in through there. There we go. As this continues to want to come over like so. And come through here. All right. So then underneath here, where we're at, right here, we can get a little bit of that neck a little clearer. As you can see, it's just pretty obscured. So we get it really almost covered up. This could come out a little bit wider as it comes in. So the neck is underneath here, kind of falling in right now underneath the lobe of the ear, and we get some more gathering, bulging of that area right in through. That's where we get that darker part. It kind of gathers and bulges, and then we get where the shoulder pops into the neck and the trapezius in the back here, and we move on down. Okay, so we have that. I'm just going to put this in light tone right there, so we can really define that side plane of the head. It's a lot more complex, and we'll get there, but we have to keep it simple for now. So let's go back and refinish this nose. It's a very strong curve where the base of the nose and this plane react. So I can even curve it further, because it's actually coming up and it's attaching up under here, up underneath the brow, but the brow covers it over. It gets a little straighter here, then it wants to turn again. There. Gets this going. underneath here, this kind of over ridge. Right through here, and coming through here, and around, right in through here. I wonder where that ends, that temporal lobe begins and through here. Okay, so we curving with that nose brow, still the top plane here, and over, like so. Then it wants to kind of come in and divot out to the tip. Now we get the side plane of that nose and through here, which is about the same width just because of its turn. This curls in a little bit and this base comes out over and is starting to kind of get a little flatter and through here as it curves out a little bit further. So right where that shadow hits and turns, that coarse shadow, I'll just give a little bit. That's where that front plane of that nose, and we can see that that's not necessarily a flat plane, but it has a turn and a curve to it. That's important to denote. So now looking at that, I feel like I need a little bit more up here coming over to the chin. It's a little short on this one. Just a little bit further for now, and it can continue to adjust as per needed. So we have his head. Next thing I want to feel is a couple of things. The arch of the cheekbones. They're coming up and they're right above the nostril here. And I'm saying above because I'm thinking about the normal head and its orientation. So right about here. There we go. So we get this arch and it comes across on the other side here, like so. It's a little bit where it's slightly more shaded or darker skin tone, just a little bit, really curves. And you see it curve in, it's a real big curve. These all curve, and this brow line actually curves in back into it, in through here, and this brow line curves this lobe here, where it starts there, catches about right, where it catches kind of underneath catches. I'll mark those a little bit stronger here and here. Notice how that cheekbone curves in and catches in through there in the image, right in through there. In the model's pose here, we could come over a little bit further and kind of come through and around. This will come down a little bit for now. Still pretty generic and broad. In through here. This zygomatic arch that comes all the way to the ear would be about right where I'm making that line for now. To that cheekbone. This comes down like so. Cooking, I think, pretty good. There we go. Get that nostril through there. There we go. All right, so kind of playing off this brow in front, being a little bit more definitive here for now. In through here. This wants to curl around. This frontal prominence in through here of the forehead has like an extra patch where there are muscles, forehead muscles, kind of right in through here. Excuse me. And they come down and kind of over like that. And they'll come across the form. We'll get into that a little bit. And then the hair, just tone this in for now. And we'll get deeper there too. A little bit. Okay. So we're laying that head down, turning pretty well. Side plane starts about right in through here. What we see here now is we see the eye emerging. The entire eye socket, the underneath of the zygomatic arch, the whole system really can be defined about right here, coming through. This is in front, running through here. This comes through and over, and it flattens out a little bit, right in through here. It comes through like so. Okay, and then we get that zygomatic arch pickup right in through here, picking back up right in through here. And then we'll get, I'm just gonna dip just to show you the split of the eye, lids. We'll get to that later. I just want to define a little bit more of that right in through there, very broadly, not to get detailed, because it curves pretty arched and then it flattens and it gets elongated kind of right down in through there. Just what I'm going for. Just wanted to show you that right in through there. Okay, so we have that right in through there. There we go. Sit that head down just a little bit better through here. Okay. So on the other side, we have the same thing going on. It's a little bit more obscure. Those values get very close together. Besides the eyebrow, which I'm kind of taking off. I'm just saying that is the overlapping part of the brow bone ridge. And of course, the hairy part of the eyebrow for guys, which is fuller obviously since we don't really trim here, coming through a little bit darker, a little bit broader. And then we'll get underneath here and get that eye ball and part of this, underneath of the zygomatic arch, the top part of it here, underneath, just barely let that fade through, and that's enough for now. That may be enough for all of it. That'll be a whole lot. Then we can kind of judge where I'm at here as we come over. That brow's a little higher. Of course, it'll come down, and then the cranium comes in, so I can be a little bit more definitive with my line for now. And then coming through here, later on that'll be hair, and then the outside part where that wider hair is, that temporal lobe, it sits on top and then puffs out, so it comes out a little further, a little bit more distinctive detail that comes out and through here. And we're starting to wrap around a little bit further right as we come through, contouring. There we go. And on around, and now we're starting to get the feel for this head. So we've got a couple of areas left before we jump back to that one. And we want to define his neck out further, just going back to what we have. Here's the cheek, jawbone, the mandible. As it starts to end and come back up to the masseter bone, or the muscle in through here, that mandible bone, jawbone coming up, and then getting buried by the sideburn and then the ear underneath. We'll get a little more definitive with the lobe here as it dives in just a little bit. I'm just obeying the shape now of what I see. That's part of drawing too. When you get to certain areas, you just obey what you see. And observationally, and then in this ear side plane, we really get the top of that ear, kind of like a box, top of a box, and it falls down to the side. Running through there, and a little fluffiness for the hair as it pooches over, kind of covers not really much of the ear, but running through there. Definitely temporal lobe, side plane of the head, got to know that. And then, because it tends to end as that shadow begins there. There it is, right through there, and it comes over through. And we have that. And so now we get just this turning. Okay, it's a complex problem, and you have to kind of think it through. And I have to think it through and for you on camera, and you can think it through in your head. You probably don't want to be in class drawing and talking it out like I do. It's not natural. It's a little unnatural to do that, but it's part of the educational gig, if you will. It's part of the requirements. Be able to communicate. If not, it's not a good thing, right? All right, so we'll turn this head through, come back through, and then lastly, just define the soft part of the neck here under. This is the chest turning away and barreling out a little bit here, and then we get this neck turn here, and it really wants to come up in through here. Get a darker line because they're bulging. We get a line opposite here, and so they get squeezed in. It's really caving in a little bit here, right in through there. It starts to cave in to itself, and it comes down to this back part down by the back, the trapezius back in through here, which is your back and your neck area too, and then we can get a little defined for now. This bulges a little bit, and this will curve come through. And then right in through here is a pretty definitive little break between the deltoid and the trapezius, with the area coming together, the clavicle coming up and around and through. About right, probably in through here. Here we go. I'll just push that around for now. Here we go. Okay, and then lastly, before we go on back to the other one, is I want to clean up just the geography of where the mouth area, what's going on there too. There we go. That's it. Okay. And so the top lip now, this curve right in through here is the top lip, kind of the split of the mouth right here. It curves around, straightens out just a little bit there, kind of even with the nose tip. Then it's going to curve in like so. It didn't come downward, down that downward flow to its ending point where the nodes are, where that skin fluffs together. It's kind of an ovalish form where they bulge together, where the cheek and the lip forms, the membrane of the lips here, and then the underneath of the lips are here. There we go. Right into there, and this really flattens out. Of course, it gets lighter in the image. We're doing a diagram, not so much a finish. Well, we'll put some value on here later on. We'll make it prettier. Sometimes they're pretty, sometimes they're just diagrammatic. Here, and then what we have here is this gathers underneath, after the bottom lip, that furrow, it starts to flatten out. And that's really indicated by this sort of dark gathering point, better indicated for us with a line. And then the chin goes out a little longer. I'm actually going to erase that out because it's getting a little heavy. So right there, and we'll come up and go ahead and keep that chin just a little, pretty longer chin here, and this straightens and curves up and arches over to that mentolabial area group of chin, kind of chin muscles, harder chin muscles. It turns like so, and that feels a little cleaner and better right in through there, maybe a little bit wider over here. Okay, all right, so, and of course we have this barrel chesting of the model and through here, something like that. We don't really see it in the camera. I'll give just a little bit more of an indication of what's going on. Okay, so I think we'll stop this one here, and we'll get now closer to an ending point now on the other one, and we'll continue to come back to compare. You'll get a feel to compare these two together at the same time. All right, so let's move back to this one. I think it's going pretty well here. Okay, so let's kind of finish out these both these head studies. We'll take it to a relative degree of completion, and I think that will be it for foreshortening. So kind of further coming back now with the drawing, and we'll start to tighten this up a little bit as we're working through. This could probably go maybe just a little bit higher as we see this top of the forehead in through here. Probably not quite as angled, a little bit flatter right in through here, coming down a little bit further, and we get to a little bit more of the kind of the brow in through here. I'm going to have to clean that up now with the nostril, so we'll come in here and start to tighten this over here now, here with the nostril, and through here. And these opening firm but still kind of spongy, cartilaginous. How about that? Cartilage like areas of the fleshy part of the nose as it turns on itself inside and through here. And of course, we'll just tone that down. Sorry about the mispronunciation. Cartilaginous. Any doctors out there, don't hold me accountable. Ouch. So tough word there. Okay, we're going to curl over here. And this nose, the septum part gets split. You can see it right in through here. Just gets split up a little bit. We'll just separate this out. And through there, both these. And we'll come over and kind of just throw this back in a little bit of tone. We'll just go for like a 3/4 shading effect. We won't go full. So what I mean by that is I'm not doing a full finished rendering or drawing, but just getting a good diagram for understanding too. This curls in and tends to curl back up and around. This kind of comes over and through here, and then we get more of the nasal passage to the sinuses in there, over and through. The edge here, and then where it gets lighter, you can see it in there. That area is where that kind of squares away, but it's soft enough that we can kind of show that with a lighter tone. And then the nostril on the side edge really turns away from us and gets a harder, crisper, cleaner kind of edge, and through there it really wants to turn over. In this viewpoint especially, it gets very triangular. Also in this viewpoint, it gets especially triangular too. You see in foreshortening as well. Down in through here, we'll just kind of put a little tone on that. Soften this edge. Keep this edge a little soft with this nostril flattens where it gets lighter there, and this edge gets tighter. Of course, it's got a little cast shadow up here to really peek it out. Kind of right in through there. This wants to curl and turn like so. There we go. Now we're getting into the nose bridge itself, and it shoots downward into back to that glabella, the brow, inside the eye, before the eye sockets in the middle. So it's kind of up underneath that brow, and then we get a little bit of that. This is softer cartilage part. I'm not going to say cartilaginous anymore. And the softer cartilage part. Then it gets up in here where the bony part of the nasal cavity is here, where it gives that little hike, that little hump there, right in through there. And then we'll get this to turn here. And then this gets into the brow proper, which really sits up high now onto the eye. Really plays off that eye arch right in through here, and then just will mimic a little bit of the hair coming over the brow, right in through there. And that's part of it. It's also, believe it or not, a little bit of hair in the back of his head, past the forehead over too as well. So that's how far we get over. This little curl kind of right in through. This is all brow in through here. It really curls back and pulls over. Really wants us to tell that that's the bottom of the can. It's pulling back over a cylinder, pulls back over this one. Everything kind of pulls back this way with the drawing here. And of course we get into the grayer part of the hair right in through here. And then we get a little bit of this puffiness of the hair in through here, around. And just, you want to keep that, you know, looking like hair, but you don't need to draw every strand. My students try to draw every strand here at NKU. Some of them, I tell them to quiet that down. Less hair, just get the mass or the clumping effect of it, because the bottom outer edge is here. And we can kind of just make that work like that. And that works pretty fine there. And we could kind of come over through here. And then this is going to get us over to the back of the head and through here and then down. Again, it gets a little bit squared off as that head starts to rest in through here. Then underneath. And we're curving. See how this really continues to curve through here, and then we get this bottom of the neck right in through here. This kind of an extra curve. It kind of fills the two together, and then we get this other layer of the trapezius really coming back into the model proper. So this cheekbone, as we're working around the model, we can start to gather in through here. The high cheekbone here starts to curl over and come through like so. And then we get this bone, high bone in through here. We got a lot of shadow coming in through here, curl up like so. This gets curled. And it's kind of like a little sort of a circular area. You can see that underneath it's kind of an opening between this jaw muscle, the masseter, and the maxilla, or just the opening of our mouth, kind of a orbit of our mouth bone. This whole area is kind of rounded. This is kind of a little pocket form in between there. And we could start to put all this, I'll just throw this back in a little bit more shadow tone for now, like so. You could just have that sit back there a little bit to pull back. And this starts to pull around. And so everything in this foreshortening thing that we're doing here, this head study, really gets arched around a lot of overlapping arches, one in front of the other, in front of the other, in front of the other, to set things back and set things off, you know, a little bit. It's pretty important for that to happen for our study. And we'll get in here. This is a little bit darker, so we can go a little bit darker through here. I don't want to blast it for now, so we can move on. In through here and downwards, we keep coming down. See, I try to feel the contouring around these forms and just keep feeling that through this particular area, right in through here. As it fades away, gets a little bit softer. These are difficult little form problems because they have kind of an edge, but they end softer because they're overlapping and turning. But this right here, this gets a little harder edge. This is your cheekbone arch, the zygomatic arch, right in through here. And that gets a little bit darker, harder edge right in through here. It comes in, actually comes all the way down back to your ear area, right in through here. So we'll get that through. Let's tackle a little bit more of the eye now coming through. So this arch here, back in through. The eye socket and the brow area really arched in through here. And then we'll take on the eye a little bit. Right in through here, you want to separate the eye right here, this cheekbone coming over. Then we get to the softer flesh of the eye right in through here. This really arches, pretty strong arch over here, and then it runs down and gets fleshy, runs in through here and over the eyelid of the eyeball, really wrapping around that eyeball and through here, right, and then it comes on down and starts to get a little bit of a bulge downward and through here, and then we get a little folding over, then curling through. It's pretty tight there, curling through like so. This comes through, and then we have this eyeball, the tackle, or the other eyelid. Right in through here is where we get closer to the tear duct. It gets hidden because the overlap, but we get in through here, and then we have a thickness there to deal with of the eyelids. They come up, arch up here, and then they want to come over and down pretty quick. So there's not a lot of eye proper showing in through here as it overlaps right in through here, and then the other eyelid, or the thickness of that eyelid, up and through and around and downward, and we get those lashes coming pretty quickly. And you want to be careful with lashes, and sometimes I just leave them out, but just a couple of strokes, you can see they curl up and they tend to flitter outside the center of the eyeball on the lash itself, of course. And so you have to be careful not to overdo this. Students tend to overdo this. This has got a little bit more tone on it. This will get a harder edge in here and coming down right and through there as it just disappears from the eye prop for our viewpoint because it gets overlapped. This will get a little darker in through there. Then we could get a little bit of the eyeball and the pupil and iris. Just a little bit of a disc on top of that eyeball, and I just hit the edges of where we see it here, really rounded, more rounded than you think, and he's looking up and to the left. So we'll get a little bit more of that tight thickness in through here of the eyelid. There we go. And we don't see a whole lot, so this is kind of in tone, first of all, in through here, and then we get a little bit of that pupil right in through. There's a highlight there too as well, just a little bit of that kind of coming around. It's about all we see. And you're getting him to look up. Both the eyes are looking in this particular direction, so you have to be careful of that. That's a pretty difficult little foreshortened passage here. A little tone here on the back to maybe play this off just a little bit. There we go. Keep that loose. And so we're coming around now with this cheekbone, really feeling the geography of that coming through it. And that's enough with the eye. Get a little bit of flesh right in through here to take care of. And then we'll come on down. Let's go ahead and put on the ear. We'll come back over here so I can get kind of out of this region a little bit, right in through here. We'll kind of come over, and we've got this ear now. We have to kind of relocate it. We've kind of lost our edge a little bit. In through here, jaw, into the jaw, about in through here. You know, gravity's pushing everything down, so everything is going to get flatter and then splayed out a little bit. So it's going to feel like you've got heavier pockets of fat or whatnot when you really. I've seen very thin people look kind of heavy on when they're laid out in this particular view and other figure studies. All right, so we've got the ear repositioned about coming across here. Kind of lost just about all of it, so in my drawing at least. So we have that earlobe, that C shape, curved effect in through here, then over, and then it ends into the upper lobe and then back into the flesh of the skin. And then we'll start to get that inner ear shape into here, that flap. These get really varied in through here. Okay, and then over, and then a harder fleshy ridge, cartilage-like ridge. Notice I didn't say cartilaginous. In through here. Okay, so get that lobe coming down. Right in through there. This separates a little bit through tone. We'll get that. This really curls back of the head and wants to keep on curling around as we get that through. Then we get this lobe we get a little bit of a bottom side of it here. It kind of boxes off. It's kind of a nodule look here. Down it through there and then coming over. I'll just kind of shorthand some of this to get through it a little bit and over, and I'll just put a little tone there and around. just to cover that. There we go. Like so, and then we'll come over to the mouth a little bit, and everything is, remember, back to that first box that we did, pushing back, you know, our form in perspective. So we've got the lips to deal with, the philtrum here a little bit. We see just a little bit of this pooching over kind of quality coming through. This mouth barrels around and down, and we come over this nodule here, fleshy part of the skin gets tucked and pulled around like so, and this kind of curls over like so, really fleshiness. And through here this gets undercut a little bit like so. All right, we'll come back over. We don't see a lot over here. We see a little bit of the eye emerging, just kind of the eyelash in the side of the head here, and that's about it. Over, and we get a little bit of this cheekbone now popping through. It gets square, doesn't it, right about right here, and then it starts to flatten, and it's on the same trajectory here as this cheekbone. You have to kind of see that. You definitely have to see that for sure. Push that back a little bit. This angle right here, see that angle coming right in through here and over to the cheekbone, right in through here, and that gets us all the way down to overlapping of the chin, believe it or not, about right in through here. We can tighten this up, box it on through a little bit. It's kind of a soft box here. This wants to pull over, some just contour line to turn that over a little bit. So we pull this a little bit higher like so, and this is the bottom of the jaw, or the chin, in the upper part of the jaw actually, right in through here. But this is the whole bottom of the jaw, and it turns over. Then it turns over like this. It curls over. You can see that, and it curls over this way, contouring line approach. Then you feel it right in through here where it gets a little darker, right in through there and over. Right in through here and around. We get a little flattening. You can feel that flatten. Put some contour line there in tone, and this gets lighter because it's hitting the light. This pulls over this way, curls around, pulls over that way. You can tighten this edge out right in through here a little bit as it overlaps. We'll pull that forward. This will come and overlap through like so. So we lay him down on that platform that we have, and we'll push him through, flatten this out a little bit, come up and around. Pretty much got this area. I'll come back up here. Feel some contouring around here, flattening out. Get the tracheal area, which is kind of a tubed area where the Adam's apple is. This is a little bit higher. Adam's apple down and through this area. Feel that. And this curls, we get a little tone here. This wants to curl around. Do so, like so. You can kind of really tuck under, because this bulges, so we get this undertone here of play. This pulls in like so. And we get this darker. I'm going to push this into here a little darker. This flesh to pop in, pop out a little bit. Push that out. This really pulled in here, like so. And this wants to curl in this way. And in this flesh, actually, there's a little pocket that pulls it here. It wants to pooch out the opposite way, to bulge that out through here and through here. So we get opposite curves. Here against that plays off that nicely for us. Get that lobe there. Bottom of that lobe a little bit. Hit that head down a little bit darker. I'll go back over this with a little bit of black too, just to tighten, ultra tighten up just a few areas. And so we get this true ending of our jaw back in through here. This curls over with flesh And through here in this bulge, just so we get a little bit more action through here, curling over, and then around right through here. Everything on that foreshortened feeling about getting that head to flatten into space. Okay. Alright, so we're going to come down here. Let's tackle now up and through here around the chin. Soften this just a little bit around here. Soften this through a little bit here. Okay, right in through there. Pull this over lengthwise and then widthwise. I could start to continue to turn this through. Really feeling when I make these contour lines, it's really physical. You really feel it in your hand and your wrist to get that to move. This moves this way, this direction. We're coming downward like so to get that pull downward and in. And in the lip area, we can be a little bit now sculptural. And so we've got this lip. The edge of this lip is actually where the skin is, not the actual lip. It's the edge tip beyond the lip, actually. Make a little rhyme there. And that outer edge, and then inside there is the lip. So it's better off being rendered with a little tone. That will help a little bit to see it. But it's a little bit darker where the membrane of the lip areas and then the top of the skin, which are a little bit different material here. And then this can curl. We'll curl that in just a moment. And then we'll come down. This kind of flattens out here. Like so. Really pulls down low, doesn't it? Back and down and through here to the nodule. In here. And then we can pull around and you can see that ridge. This is in, we'll get this little, lots of control. This little lip ridge. That's really the end of the lip. On top of that is where the skin comes down right in through there. This is the center of it, about right here. There we go. This comes down and through. I'll keep that a little bit lighter. There, and we'll just, there we go. A little light hitting across there. Really curved, isn't it? Barreled, kind of arched. Everything is on a barrel, around a barrel. Through here, a little bit of tone. And through there. Coming through here. There we go. Now this overlaps in this particular view, the lower lip, as it comes through. It actually, in reality, comes underneath the lip a little bit. The upper lip, and through there. So this will come up and over. This ending of the skin, it's really the skin and not the lip. So the entire lower lip is hidden in our viewpoint, but we get a feeling of it pretty strongly. Right in through here. It comes up even a little higher, over. Right in through there, doesn't it? Really have to get a finite kind of feeling now going, and it arches down. And then more over, like so. And this whole feeling here is turning this way, under turning, under turning, under turning, because it flattens out pretty quickly as it under turns, and it flattens out pretty quickly over there before we get to the chin area. That's why we have that lighter tone there, and then the chin gets running through here, gets a little darker. You get that valley coming through there, up and through here and over. And we get the under ridge of that jawbone right through here. A lot of curves, a lot of arches that you're seeing that are overlapping in this effect. Put a little bit stronger under turn here. underneath the chin where the bone ends and those fleshy digastric muscles are. Dude, not the greatest pronunciator, huh? It's okay, as long as you can draw it. Through here, then around with the foreshortened head, and I'm just going to feel this plane a little stronger of the undertow of the jaw, right in through there. And I think we're about settled. I'm going to kind of finish this little study out with a little darker black tone on top of it here. So a couple of seconds, I'm kind of feel this over just to kind of finalize it, because we've got the neck here, that bulge right through here, and curved over. Just feel those curves. To be subtle and supple with them. Here we go. Over, downward. This bulges up under, a little bit darker right in through there where they bulge, and this undertoes undercuts that bulge to get it to pocket and be more fleshy through here. Toe there, then the chest comes over. Got this part to here. If we get this going one way, then we get this going another. This could go down a little bit and through here, and that gives us that bulgy turn that we want with our flesh to here. And the chest comes back over. This overlaps a little bit. You want to get that overlapped just a little. And we won't fuss too much more with that coming through. Just to get that feeling. There we go. Up and around and over. And through to the back of the shoulder there. All right, so let's go now. I'm going to take a little bit of black, dig in deeper here. Just pull out a few things to make it cleaner. This nostril here. Just to tweak a few things here to pull it out. Pull these kind of triangles of the nostril out a little bit further. So we pretty much got what we needed from this particular head. We'll jump over to the other one in a second, but we're just finishing out some of the formal foreshortening attributes that we've got. What are they? Overlapping, arching, flattening of the form to its more simple shape, box-like we talked about, and kind of a landscape where one form overlaps another form, loops over it to get these ideas. There's no easy feat, for sure. You really had to think hard, a lot more adjusting probably that you're noticing that you're going to have to do to alter your feeling. It's tougher brain work for sure. Drawing brain work. This splits, the septum splits a little bit. And through here and over. This will come through. We'll just shade this down and in a little bit. Through. We're just like turn that over a little bit. Through here. Get those whiskers to turn, and then this ear of the nose. You could just put a little bit of a curve, really nice and curved. See how that nostril wants to get this lipped edge of it. It really wants to pull from here where it touches the cheek and kind of pushes away, and then it comes way over to this bulbous septum tip here and around pretty strongly through here, and then really far over right in through there. Pretty challenging, really on an arching curve, and we can push this bridge back, this overlaps. This gets a stronger line. That's another area you've got to be careful about foreshortening, is the difference between soft overlapping, heavier overlapping with a darker, crisper edge line that you need at times. Like for instance, this is a soft edge, soft, semi-soft in through here, and then it gets a little bit harder right in through there. That's a tough little problem to manage right in through there. This comes over, and through here, punch that little dark with that cast shadow. Through here, this can pull back a little bit further and dark just to push on it a little bit. Then there's a hard edge, this crease between the eye socket and flesh and bone in the nose shaft, right in through here and up. That's a little tough one that you have in through there. This kind of curls and wants to richly curl over in through here, and then I'll just play with this a little bit. Here to the brow where this darker tone is, and get some completion, kind of sketched lines, just emphasizing the turn of the brow right here. Over, push over, push over, push over, right into there, and then this little curl of the hair of the actual top of the head, believe it or not, coming through and through here. Wrap it up through here a little bit. We'll come around with the hair. And around here. Just playing off the outer structure of the hair now, and the head actually, the hair being part of it. Push this a little dark in here. Clean this up a little bit, this earlobe. Back around through. And then accentuate this little cavity of the oral cavity, or excuse me, the oral cavity of the ear. Don't think you have your mouth in your ear. Right into here and then downwards. I can kind of put where his head would sit a little bit and fall down. Put a little bit of softer shadow in through here. So we'll come and grab just a little bit of this cheekbone. Just a few more minutes with this here. Just to emphasize it through and around here. And around. Like so. And underneath here. There we go. And we'll just come around. Kind of a C, backward C curve shape with that jaw. There we go. Just do a little touch of the eye just to separate those, that lid a little bit right into here. Not a whole lot. Okay, this underturn here. This overlaps right there. There we go. Overlaps and really comes over. And we have this pupil through here. There we go. Push back that shading a little bit. Push back that eye, let it sit back. A little shading through there. Brian's got some pretty high cheekbones, they arch. And this is where that catches that underneath light on top of it, but what we see is really a shadow. So I'm going to pull this out a little bit further. Right in through there to bring those out, the undergirding of it and shadow, like so. There, this will arch through to get that little form. Let's pick up on the other side just a little bit over here, finish a few things out, soften, and then push this in. Really pull this bottom lip downward. Here, make an emphasis out of this coming over, even though I've got a little bit darker, it's totally fine. through here, just kind of clarifying this turn, and through here underneath the lip, the bottom lip underneath. We don't see don't see the bottom lip because of the foreshortening. It just goes away. But we see the fleshy part of the skin underneath it as it turns underneath. So I'm going to hit this edge here, turn this edge over just so we can see that separation of hard edge, and also up above just a little bit further to clarify the foreshortening of what's in front. This is in front of this, which is also in front of this, which is also in front of that, and it's pulled back. So again, it's like a fleshy facial landscape. This moves here. We got that to move. Get some contour line to curl that over a little bit further. Bulge this pocket of flesh. It's a real strong area of overlap here, right through there. And it curls, and it kind of stops just a little bit there. It's like little landscapes of bumps and hills and mountains, and you handle those the same way you handle the big areas, by observing and understanding light and form. That's exactly how you tackle it. And then we'll just kind of come in a little bit more tone here and over and flush around. This gets flattened down, so we'll curl that back in with a little bit of contouring line through there. I'm going to make this area right in through here, this little edge, a little stronger, just to show that overlap of that cheekbone just a little bit better. Through here, and just a little darken through here. This wants to turn this way, as well as also show the curl as it's coming up a little bit, so you get kind of two there. As we come across. Okay, I think we've got what we needed now for our foreshortened study to kind of finish this, little diagram study out. You could take it further, you could take it all the way to a value finish, but I think here is enough for where I want to end it. Okay, all right, so let's move now on to the next one and finish our partner next to it and see how we can do there. Okay, all right. Let's jump into that one. All right, so here we are now with the other side, and let's get a little bit more clarity. I think we're pretty good there. I can almost jump into the black tone pencil a little bit. So let's clear up the eye area a little bit here. So with this brow, we're in kind of the upper brow overturned here, as we don't see up underneath it like we do here, because we get kind of opposites with these contrasts of this kind of drawing the feeling experience of this, and we still get this very rounded brow. It's a very rounded area right in through here. Forehead coming through. Get to the hair coming over and then around like so. And we'll curl over, and it'll be good for here for now. So let's get to that eye. So we're coming through, we feel this brow ridge here as it does straighten out a little bit more as it turns on its curve. So that's a little ironic, but right in through here, then it arches over, then we get down into the temporal area. Right in through here, around the side plane of the head, and through here, so this gets a little bit of contouring and value. More so here. To pull it over, the brow sits on top, and then we've got the eye to deal with. So we've got a couple of areas to deal with as we move in here pretty tight. And so we've got the start of the overall orbit here, the underneath muscle where the cheekbone actually starts, the top part of the zygomatic arch, and through here. The bottom of the eye socket. It curls around. It's a real curled, arched area. And we start to play into some pulling of flesh through here and then around. Because everything is on a barrel curve now. It was a box, now it's on a curve. You have to change your concepts often from time to time to get what you need out of it. And this cheek ridge area, the side of the head and the jaw kind of come together. We'll get a little bit more value here. As it pulls through. Coming around through here. Come over and down. It pulls way over to the ear and through here. So let's come back up now. And that's the bottom part. And so we come up now and we get another turn in through here. We get the lower eyelid here. You just kind of have to follow the thickness and the shape of it here where the lashes are, and it curls around. So here's eyes actually open, but you can't really tell much. So you've got that lower crease, then it pulls. Everything is kind of on a ball, barrel and a ball, pulling around and through and over, back, and it kind of comes in this way, right through there. And then we get, that's the crease of that, and then basically the upper lid, which seems like it's closed, but we get the upper lid because we don't see the pupil and iris because of the foreshortening, which makes that challenging. And so this kind of curls and turns up underneath and then kind of gets a little darker in through there as it creases in through there. Pretty tight little area. It looks like he's sleeping, but actually his eyes are open, even though it's not. Even in the image that we're working from, it looks like that. So we have it here, and we're coming through. This cheekbone now wants to pooch and curl. Pooch and Curl, that might be the name of a new children's rock band, Pooch and Curl. So we have this here through this nostril. Now it gets tighter through here, curled up. Just tightens up over and through here. That gurgles the sound of my coffee maker in the background. It's pretty early in the morning where I'm at filming this. So right through here. Time for a little bean juice. Just curls in through here. And over. So we pretty much got this eye, the power of that turnover. We've got it pretty good in through here. This will get a little darker right in through here. Tucks underneath, a little extra, and then we get this cheek area as it turns through. Everything is on a barrel, and then we get a stronger line where we get a downturn of the jaw and the top of the mouth. So we get two movements here as it curls through like so, this area, then it flattens out a little bit right there, the darker crease. And then we go, it comes around like so. It really comes over like in through that area. Let me tighten up this edge now too. Right in through here where it gathers just a little bit. A little harsher line. And then it comes in, dives in a little bit, and then comes out where the chin starts to turn right in through there. It comes on around. Not easy drawing for sure. Not easy, right in through there. So then we get, because it's darker and it's creased back under, we get an underturn of value. See how I'm underturning? This is an overturn here, but then I'm gonna underturn it here and pull back this, underturn this to show that bulge, which is really kind of a bulge. Right in through here, I'll push that a little bit. This will get in shadow. Because this now overturns again through here. Got that. I think the coffee's ready. This overturns up and through. This gets to the crease between the lips, believe it or not, over, and then we get up and around. It goes about right at the tip of the nose, a little bit higher, and it gets eclipsed by the tip of the nose there to get that in there. So this all now undertoes to get that idea of the bulge we've talked about before. Undertow versus overtow, or one line against another to play off that process. You get that feeling of poochiness in the flesh, which we all have, and you want. It's not because somebody's heavier. Very athletic people have poochiness where forms come together. So we're very thin people too. Okay, so we'll pull this out, go a little darker here where we can, this is curled in the nostril. You don't want to make it flat because it's not, but it is in more kind of shadow for now. So it's your ball. So light source is mostly from above, kind of flat lining. For now, good for diagrams for now. And then this side plane of the nose here really begins to box out and barrel out right in through here where that dark is. That's the left side of the nose, right side truly, but the left side in our viewpoint. And through here, and it comes, this comes back and it tucks into that plane, and this can kind of all down in shadow, like so. All right, so I think we've got most of this area whipped into shape, and I'll just kind of tweak this a little bit. I'll jump over to the other side of the eye here just momentarily. Let's get a little bit of this, kind of this feeling of this hair. Again, more for mass and clumps rather than the entire, each strand of hair. That's the biggest mistake I see students make. Sometimes I do some really kick butt drawings, and then it comes to hair time and it's like, oh boy, we have to have a conversation. Or they know it, they just kind of forget, and they go nuts about getting every strand of hair. It happens from time to time. And so we have that. We're coming up here a little bit to the neck. I'm just kind of tightening this up a little bit in my drawing. So it moves up to the neck and into the clavicle area, to the scapula and humerus area. Those all come together through here. Not important for our study as much. Well, I suppose it is a little bit. It's all important, but a little bit less so. Push that back. All right, let's hop in now to the other side of our study here with the eye. So they're curved over, and this brow curves in through here. Right in this area, and this arches just a little bit inward here anatomically, and then it comes out and then wants to come back over here really clearly through, right in through here, as we have that. And this curls around and through here, and this comes over. They're doing a little construction next door. If you hear those little noises, sorry about that. And right in through here. This overlaps, the cranial part overlaps a little more right in through there. And this curls through his head. So this got a little bit more tighter right in through here. It's actually the end, or the highest point of the overturn of the head, right in through here, bony structure, and this gets softer, temporal muscle, and then really gets actually more into just hair. The grayer part of the hair gets that darker part of the shoulder shadow. Right in through here where the clavicle bone kind of curls, starts to curl around, right in through here. Right in through there, coming through, and then over. And then we get this underturn here of the shoulder area, a little darker. We can push that back. It kind of sets off a nice contrast between the two. right in through there. That hair and the that shoulder shape and shadow. And so coming back to the brow now we get, this is the bony part where that stronger turn is, it's a stronger edge. Arch it just a little bit more. And then on top of that, we get a little bit of the hair of the brow. And so that wants to curl and kind of wrap around. You have to think about that where it's wrapping underneath and back over. It's kind of jumping and arching. And it's just kind of a diagonal curve to it. You see how far it goes out there, and it's kind of tone, it's soft, and it curls over, and I think that kind of gives you the idea of all this flow over. Then we pick back up the cheekbone. So I'm just thinking about this cheekbone, since they're very symmetrical, and he's slightly angled, just a little bit. I've got him probably more straight than he is, and that's okay, but just slightly angled, and I'm gonna cut in just a little bit. It's a little bit too arched, too high. Cut in a little bit there, feels pretty good. Just to wrap that on through, and it kind of dives in and kind of disappears almost at the nostril in through here. Get a little bit of that plane of the nose, maybe just a little bit tighter coming through. That nostril wants to emerge a little bit more right in through there. You get this edge over and this arches. Really have to kind of second guess what you're seeing. It's like, okay, am I really seeing that? This curls through this part of the nose. It creases in like so. And then that bone dives in. We're talking about right over in through this area, right in through here. There we go. Right in through there. So, and then we have a little bit of tone undercuts where that cheekbone is, undertoned on top of it. It's like a little ledge. And so you can go a couple ways, this way, or you can go around. Probably better to go around as we tone it in. And what we're left with is a little bit of a lighter value. Do you see it right here, this arch? That's the soft play of the eye, the orbit of the eye in through there. The lower part. We don't see much at all. We see that is about it, but we want to get this strong enough curve, not too hard edged. It's not as hard as this one. You see that, the difference between that? That's important to note right in through here. This can go, we'll go a little bit darker to show that off. It's got to be a little bit darker. And we turn that around, turn this around and over here. Then we'll come in, put a little tone here and around. This lightens up just a little bit here, and then this gets a little darker where that top brow temporal muscle, this kind of turns over, this turns back to get kind of a bulge in through there. Then we have the hair. So most of that hard work now is done. That's getting to be a more done area. So we'll get his barrel chest, pectorals coming up a little bit. We'll feel that through. We'll come underneath the ear. Not a whole lot to do here. It's pretty blunt, just shape oriented. A lot of times you'll see it and you'll just think about the shape of it more. And that helps to try to think through so much of that difficult foreshortening with this particular aspect. And it generally works out pretty well. Just kind of a blocky form, very foreshortened. Then we get some bulge with the neck and through here. Cover that back with tone. One against the other a little bit to darken it in and over, coming over a little bit and through, then wrapped around. We'll push that over like so. Darken the shadow a little bit. Okay, let's kind of carve out the top of this hair, this head again. This is the frontal prominence of the head. This will curve over and away from us and then downward. And then we get this turn here. You can see some creasing to help us. This comes over like so and then flattens a little bit here and then wants to arch over. That's why we get this little shadow area kind of in through here. Like so. And then we come around in through here. Pull this in, go fairly darker since it's coming a little bit towards us to show off that highlight a little bit better. Through here. So I kind of think of this round nub, and it turns over. The skin changes, it gets a little bit, it's redder here, then you notice it gets a little bit yellower because of the objects around it. Skin tone. Through here. And then over. And then we can come over now and kind of just clear that up, a little crease in through there. Another little crease, just barely. Let's talk about this hair a little bit. So we won't want to get all this detail. We'll get the mass of it coming down like so. It's probably a whole new lesson. Just get the shape of this over and around first. And then again, you want to handle it like any form. Get its completion. This is kind of the front part of the box. It boxes off like we had it beforehand. Get this laying down a little bit better. And all this now can kind of come down in shadow, value-wise, and also stroking-wise, just to show the down plane of that. That's important too. Kind of a downward movement to show that pulls down, kind of gets more blunt, especially in that foreshortening. I think that's pretty important. I'm not going to spend too much more time getting darker in through there. I think we'll burn a lot of time out of that. I don't want to. But I am going to emphasize a few areas, go a little bit more. Kind of an rounded cranial part in through. You can pick out some rhythms. You can see I'm just using tone. I'll go a little bit darker and then hit an edge for the end of the head. Tell me that's where that bony protrusion part is. And through there, if it protrudes out. And then feel this curled rhythm. I'm going to come back over in black, darker tone to kind of pull out a few things and get out of the drawing. Let you mercifully go on your way here, and then over curled up here. Just the rhythm of it, just enough in certain areas. Okay. Pull this out just a little bit by darkening here. Pull it in. There we go. All right, so that feels pretty good there to get to a good level. Gets a little bit more of a notch where there's some muscles attached. Frontal prominence muscles in through here. This brow up and through here. A little bit more curved, arched around. A bit more dark right in here for a core turn. All right, so let's jump in now with the black pencil. Okay, so let's clean it up just a little bit, bring out a few things. I'm going to start with the nose. This is kind of a focal point, this whole middle area, and just kind of work this maybe 5-10 more minutes, hopefully. Get out of here with it. So we'll come in with the nose and just put a little bit darker in through here. We don't have to do everywhere with this drawing to finish out these studies. These are studies. And sometimes for finished little works too as well. Curls around. Tip of the nose in here to pooch that in, out. Right in through here, push that little edge quality. I'll tighten this in. Come down and this nostril gets really undercut, then it curls outward. And each one has a basic kind of understanding structure, and then you draw what you see. And you marry those two together. You web them together here and around. Through this is darker into here. So it's a little dark in that reflected light and that shadow. It's all buried in shadow, but the membrane is, you see through it enough, you shine a light through there, you can see light emerge. It's not completely light, opaque. There's some transparency there. This is pretty interesting. And through here, and downward turn. You can kind of feel some contour line if you wanted to come across this barrel a little bit, and through here and through here. And accentuate this dive right here with a little bit darker line. Accentuate here to separate the brow from the nostril a little bit further. This comes out, then it wants to come around. Kind of undercut around, and then we get another line in the back to accentuate that through. This could go in some shadow here, just a little bit. So it undercuts through, and then over, and wants to come underneath here, our academic study. And then we're just turning on the cheek, turning really on a barrel, turn right in through here. Just kind of cleaning this out just a little bit with some accent lines and a little bit of tone. This is all pretty much brow. Right here, bony edge. This overlaps, so it gets a darker line right here. That's an overlap actually. They don't come together. We get that brow ridge. And then this tops in, this comes over like so. And this is really, again, all just brow tone or contouring curl. They kind of get mushed in there a little bit, and you pull it out. And it's kind of all you need. Then we'll get this side of the head. Okay, kind of curl down in through here, hair. Just a couple of edges to emerge. Don't over labor. Make it too laborious, at least for me. Darken that in just a little. Like so, and we'll come around this side, really important side. This gets a stronger crease than over here, it's obvious, right? A little bit darker there. Stronger crease right in through here. There we go. This gets pooched. Right in through there. Curled back over. Like so, just to re-emphasize that area. This is, to me, the most fun stage. You're still thinking hard, but it's like finite detail. But you can't get to this stage without going through the other stages, like the dessert stage. Dessert cart, they bring it out last, and this comes last. And you're still changing if you need to, if things get altered. So we have here, we can pooch this out a little bit further and down. This gets darker tone first. A little bit of sculpting contour on top of it, if you will. Okay. And then we get these where the lips crease. I'll clear that out a little bit. A little punch dark accentuation in through there. Then a little lip bulge. A couple little dark little marks for lip bulging. Not a whole lot. Don't want to fuss too much. Curl around here. Some tone, and then another overlapped line for the bottom of the lips, softer. Everything starts to get softer. The furrow of the chin where it gets straight, and then here where it gets more shadow, less light over. We'll soften that through, pull this downward, and then punch out a little bit of a harsher line, a little bit, just to tighten up the edge. Squared jaw, higher here, and it dives down. Just a little bit over there. You can handle foreshortening with enough time and discovery. Go back to those basic drawing foreshortening exercises. Master those. Those are actually more important than these because they begat really this understanding. This stuff becomes pretty, I won't say rudimentary drawing foreshortening with the head or the body, but if you can master it with those basic forms, and conceive of them, you can see it on, that's why we do the volumetric figure, by the way, is to be able to double take on those and see both at the same time. It's a weird kind of movement, and you can flip in and out of your conscious mind about what you're doing with form. And then, style and all that can come later. I don't really talk about right now, maybe in advanced stuff. This just academic style is just an academic style. I don't really do anything with my professional name as my personal work with this kind of style on top of it. Although there's nothing wrong with it, just not my identity. But it's a useful drawing style technique to use for diagramming. And then some artists, that's what they do, and they have probably a little bit more dynamic academic style, because that's what they do, which is fine. So we have here, come over, pooch that out just to refine this, punch this dark underneath. Here the eye where it bulges out from the cheek, the arch, the socket, a little bit darker, just refining it through here. A little bit darker, getting that shadow shape, right? Just to make it pop out a little bit better. Okay, we have that. Then that crease we had right through there, just a little bit to play with that. That ear we can pull back, recapture that lobe just a little. And through there, and through. Keep that in and separate that lobe from that strong, its inner crease. That'll help, and that would be enough, I think, through there. And then we can kind of clear up where this cheekbone ends here. Right in through there. This runs down where this arch is, so the brow arch coming over and then down. Right and through, and it's a little darker and through there. We see that. You could punch that. Pull back that light just a little bit, curl it under to show that. This gets a heavier dark, softly. This all wants to, some contour line to curl it around. And then I can put a little bit of some hair brow on there, just being careful that this curls, it tucks underneath, kind of in this direction, my arm, my hands tucking underneath. Here like so, tucking here, tucking, and over. There's a little bit of highlight here. It's a little bit much before I can get to that with this study, but in through here, and I have to go back and erase. No big deal. Through here, just tucks under a little bit to give you that idea. Tucking of the hair, and then we can pull out a little bit of some of this detail just a bit further, not much. Just to pull that eye around, over and through to get that feeling. It's like fine surgery right now. There we go. Okay. So it's working out pretty well. This is a little light still. Just tone that back and list a little bit. And through, and then we can kind of finish this out now with a little bit of fulfilling the back of the head in through here. Okay, and over. Not too much more. And then we'll wrap around the hair, and then we'll just, I'm not going to go as dark. That's really the point we've got. It'll take a little bit longer, a little while. I don't want to belabor enough already. I'll make some long videos, I know, but it's important to see it all. In through here, this would separate out with value, get a little bit darker. You can see that part of it emerging over. Around this highlight would be running through there, coming over. Just remember to contour around, do around, and we'll throw a little bit of rhythmic darks, maybe in through here, and up and over and through there, just enough to get the flow and movement of the gesture of the hair. That's really the best way to talk about it, is gesture. There we go. And then through here. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull a few contouring lines to show the plane going downward and hit the bottom, a few little areas to show where that touches. And I think we'll be out of here. So we got the foreshortened structure of both these very difficult, challenging poses, right? This pulls a little bit over and through there. Rhythm curl, back over, this rhythm's back in that way. That'd be enough. Right in through there. Okay, don't want to belabor that. I'm going to stop where I'm ahead. All right. Okay, so there you go. Two very strong foreshortened heads. Take it slow. Take both of these. Working. If you need to do it a couple times, go for it. And then go on to your own foreshortened drawing poses. Find examples or take photographs, or even better yet, draw from life, and continue to work on those techniques. Okay, there we go. All right. So I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.